Hello again, everyone. Edwin Leonard back once again. In this YouTube NFL predictions segment, I'm going to be giving you my picks and analysis for the 2018 Week 7 NFL matchups. Now, first game, I want to take Arizona at home over the Denver Broncos. This could very well be the toilet bowl game of the week, or one of them anyway. Now, Arizona, they're a modest 5-6 at home since 2017. They have had a lot of trouble running the football, number 32 in the NFL with like 64 yards per game. But Denver has been really abysmal against the run, number 32 in the NFL. They're 1-9 on the road since 2017. It's a short week. They got to go on the road. They also have been floundering. They've lost 3 consecutive games. Von Miller, recently he has been kind of taken out of what he really does best in terms of playing defense and his sacks. And this vaunted Denver defense at one time has really plummeted big time. And I think Arizona actually might get their running game going in this one. And being at home, I do like Arizona. I'm taking Arizona to win at home. Next game. Well, the next game, we got the LA Chargers playing. The game is going to be in London. And they're going to be playing the Tennessee Titans. Now, the LA Chargers right now, Chargers and Tennessee Titans are obviously going in two opposite directions. The Chargers right now are averaging about 29 points per game. They have flourished lately. They've won 3 consecutive games. The last 2 games, they've scored 64 points. They're doing this without their dominant defensive player, Joey Bosa. And you look at Tennessee, I'm a Tennessee Titans fan, granted, but I don't understand what exactly has happened with them. They are floundering. They've tapered off in terms of their offensive production. Right now, they average 14.5 points per game. They're really at the bottom tier in the NFL in scoring offense. They've scored just 12 points in the last 2 games. Again, while the Chargers have scored 64 in that same span, Tennessee Titans have no touchdowns in those 2 games as well. And it might seem a little premature to say this, but I really believe if the Titans don't get their offense going in this game, I could see Marcus Mariota likely being benched and somebody else going in there, because they're going to have to do something to shake up the offense if something doesn't get turned around soon. But anyway, I do like the Chargers to win this one very decisively. So anyway, next game. I'm going to take the New England Patriots on the road against the Chicago Bears. The Patriots are like this classic dual personality team. They're flawless at home, 3-0 at home, 0-2 on the road. It just would be hard for me to envision the Patriots really starting out 4-3. A loss in this game would put them at 4-3, 0-3 on the road in the first 3 road games. I think they'll get their first road win in this one. Now, Chicago has allowed no rushing touchdowns. Their defense has been relentless. It was exploited a little bit last week. I think they gave up like 31 to the Dolphins. But they have also been dominated in recent time against the Patriots. They've lost 4 consecutive games to the Patriots. For me, the fact it's going to be in Chicago is going to be beneficial to them, of course. And I think in this particular game, the defense might contain New England, but it just won't quite be enough. I think the Patriots are starting to get themselves going right now, right when they need to. And I like New England to win this game on the road. I think it's going to be a tight one, though. Next game. I'm going to take the Indianapolis Colts at home to prevail over the Buffalo Bills. This game really doesn't need a lot of analysis. Indianapolis is averaging about 25 points per game. I don't know the status of T.Y. Hilton. I believe is questionable. The thing about it is really what it comes down to is just the quarterback play. As far as Andrew Luck goes, is going to be much better than whatever quarterback Buffalo puts in. They had lost their quarterback that had played fairly well for them for Buffalo. It looks like he may be out in this one. And you look at the disparity with the quarterbacks. I mean, it's unbelievable. You look at, I mean, I understand Buffalo, they have 2 wins and Indianapolis has 1. Buffalo's got a slightly better record than Indianapolis, but they are going on the road in this one. Buffalo's like 4-8 on the road since 2017. And you look again, the disparity with the quarterbacks is unbelievable. You have the Indianapolis, the Colts have like, I mean, 186 completions in this one and 80, and then you have the Bills at like 86 pass completions for this whole season. And I mean, it's just really unbelievable. And they're only averaging about 13 points per game, Buffalo, right now. Their offense is just very anemic at this point. So I do like Indianapolis to win this game. Just the offense is going to be much better. So I do, and they are at home. So I'm taking Indianapolis at home. Well, next game. Well, this is one I was kind of vacillating back and forth on, but I am going to take the Miami Dolphins, though somewhat reluctantly, against the Detroit Lions. Miami right now, I mean, it's mainly because, I mean, they do have their playmakers on their team, and it's going to be at Miami. They have 11 defensive interceptions. The thing about Miami is they have been playing better lately, and they had a very impressive win against the Chicago Bears in this one. Now, Detroit is going to be on the road against them. I think there's some people that may believe, well, Detroit, what they're going to do is they're going to be better than what Chicago brought to Miami, but Chicago has been playing very well, and Detroit is really, I don't think they're better than Chicago at this point in time. Detroit does have some people that can ball. I understand Matt Stafford, Darius Clay on defense, but the thing about in Detroit, I mean, I will believe that Miami will win this one, but in a very tight contest. The last 4 games Detroit has played, they're 2-2. The 2 losses were by a combined 5 points. So for me, Detroit has been playing much better. I mean, they got annihilated by the Jets in week 1, but they have turned things around to a point where they are respectable. They're going to have to go into a hot environment against, or a hotter environment likely at Miami than what they're accustomed to. I think it's going to make a difference, and I do like Miami to win at home. Next game. I want to take the Minnesota Vikings to prevail on the road against the New York Jets. It's hard to believe right now that the Jets are actually averaging more points per game than the Minnesota Vikings. And the Jets right now, I mean, 3-3. Who would have thunk it? I would not have speculated or envisioned that the Jets could be 3-3 at this point in time. An opportunity to go 4-3 after 7 games. In this season, who would think they'd even be in a position to actually do that? I laud the Jets, commend them immensely, but I think they're just going to be outmatched in this one. I mean, you're talking about the Jets right now on a positive end. They're a plus 15 in takeaways, which is right near the top of the NFL. They're like in the top 2 or 3 in takeaways right now. I mean, the defense can be very opportunistic, and I mean that their coach on the Jets really, I mean, he gets this team ready to play. You don't see hardly any complacency. They're playing hard every game, it seems like, virtually, and even despite being undermanned, they make these games very tough on their opponents, win or lose. Minnesota, though, they're starting to get their swagger. They're playing well right now. You have Adam Thielen and you have Kirk Cousins. I mean, this awesome is going to gradually, progressively get better as the season progresses. You have defensive end Daniel Hunter with 7 defensive sacks right now. I think what it's going to come down to is the fact that Minnesota's receiving core is going to find those holes in the Jets' defense, and I think that is going to be the main difference in the game. I mean, the Jets do have playmakers. I know they have a number of interceptions on the team. They will make this game very tough given it's at New Jersey, and the Jets certainly are competitive right now, even though they don't have the personnel necessarily to really make you think they should be competitive, but they actually are, and Minnesota will have a tough time in this one, but I do like them to just get out a win. I'm thinking they're going to win by maybe about a touchdown over the Jets in this one. I like Minnesota on the road. Next game. I want to take the Philadelphia Eagles to win at home over the Carolina Panthers. this game is one of those ambivalent games. I mean, I've kind of gone back and forth a little on this one. It's just mainly because the Eagles are going to be at home. They're one of the better run defenses in the NFL. I have a feeling they're going to start to get things turned around a little bit right now. Philadelphia did beat Carolina 28-23 last season. This season, Carolina is coming in there, going to be on the road. I mean, when you have quarterback Cam Newton and tight end Greg Olsen, it's a lethal combination. They always are going to have a chance in this one. Carolina is number 4 rushing yards per game at about 139. I think Philadelphia is going to contain that running game of Carolina and force Carolina to be one-dimensional with their passing. And I think that's what's going to be the key for Philadelphia to win this game. Philadelphia also is number 1 in the NFL in time of possession, in terms of average time of possession per game. I think they will control this clock. They're going to, and I do think they will win this game in a close battle. I like the Eagles at home. Hold on a minute, people. Sorry about that. Back again. Now, anyway. Well, the next game, I'm going to take Tampa Bay at home to defeat the Cleveland Browns. You look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, they're one of those teams that could score a lot of points, but they give up so many. They're number 32 in passing yards allowed per game, but they are one of the better teams at passing, and they are good at scoring. They average about 28 points per game, but they're allowing nearly 35 points per game as well. And they're giving up that, and as far as it's interesting stat for them, they're giving up about, in terms of opposing quarterbacks' completion percentage, they're allowing about 77 passes against them to be completed. So in other words, opposing quarterbacks are completing about 77% of their passes against them. They're just eviscerating this Tampa Bay secondary. And Cleveland, I mean, that's why Cleveland actually has a chance, coupled with the fact they're improved. However, Cleveland's defense was exploited big time last week. They gave up nearly 450 yards of offense, I mean, to Los Angeles Chargers. And Tampa Bay, it's not going to get much easier because Tampa Bay has a formidable offense as well, like the LA Chargers has. And Cleveland does have to go on the road and try to get this done. I think it's going to be very tough. I think Cleveland will play a little better than they did last week because they couldn't play much worse, and they're going to redeem themselves a little bit, but they're still going to get the loss. I like Tampa Bay at home. Next game, I'm going to take Jacksonville at home to win over the Houston Texans. Now, Jacksonville, I mean, there's a lot of reasons to look at Houston as having a good chance of winning. I mean, Jacksonville was giving up like 70 points in the last 2 games. I mean, they have just looked deplorable. They gave up 378 total yards last week, and but the defense, I think, will rebound. It's got to rebound at some point, and I do believe, they will perform better in this game. They have to come alive at some time, and the defense will be revived. I think they'll get it done this week. What's uncharacteristic of the Jaguars, they have 14 giveaways right now, and they're also near the bottom of the pack in terms of turnover differential. They're going to have to get that turned around sooner than later. Houston right now, they've won 3 consecutive games. Quarterback Deshaun Watson has been sacked 25 times. They are going, Houston, the way I look at this, I think Jacksonville's front 4, I think they're going to get to Deshaun Watson big time in this game. I think that's going to make the difference. I do like the Jacksonville Jaguars to turn things around a little and get this W in a close one. Next game. Wow, this is going to be a great game. I mean, you got Baltimore at home against the New Orleans Saints. You got a great defense, a great offense. Well, in this particular one, this could really go either way. I'm going to just go with the home. When in doubt, it's going with the home team. I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens reluctantly at home in this one over the New Orleans Saints. Baltimore has played, they have, the ravenous defense looks like it may be back. Their #1 total and scoring defense. They got 26 defensive sacks. A lot of that was because they got 11 against the Titans last week. I don't think they're going to get nearly that many against Drew Brees and company, but I think they could get enough pressure on the Saints in this one. And in terms of the Saints offense and Drew Brees, it will be enough to squeak out a tough win, I think. Now, the Saints are averaging 36 points per game. They're #1 in scoring offense right now. You talk about, there's not enough superlatives to say about the Saints offense. You talk about wide receiver Michael Thomas, 46 receptions on 49 targets. That is almost unfathomable. But given the fact that it's at Baltimore, I think and you're looking at their defense has just been relentless with Baltimore in this particular. As far as what they have done this season, and again, given the fact it is at home, and Baltimore has been playing very well. They did beat the Steelers earlier this season at Pittsburgh, and should have had that game against the Browns that week prior to last week against the Titans. I think they're playing very well right now. I do like them to get this done at home, so I'm taking the Baltimore Ravens. Now the next game. Well, next game, I'm going to take the Rams to win on the road over the San Francisco 49ers. Now, you look at the Rams, very rarely you see something like this, but the Rams are are exceptional road team. 10-1 on the road since 2017. Todd Gurley had a monster game last week. He gained 208 yards. I believe that was the best of his career. They're #1 in rushing yards per game. San Francisco 49ers, now, they are struggling. That's a vast understatement. Their run defense is not terrible. They might actually be able to make this a little closer than people think, coupled with the fact this is a divisional matchup. San Francisco did put 30 points on the Green Bay Packers, but I think the defense on the Rams are going to be a little bit better in this one. I don't think it's going to be as easy to score points on them. I think the secondary could be exploited in this one against the LA Rams. I think the receivers are going to be too much for the 49ers to contend with. I think that could be the main difference in this particular game, and I do like the Rams to win on the road. Well, next game, I'm going to take the Washington Redskins at home to beat the Dallas Cowboys. I understand there's talk about, Dak Prescott has had his way with the Redskins. I think what I'm looking at is that has to end at some point. Washington is getting tired of Dak Prescott and the Cowboys beating them. Washington has had two very solid home wins this season. They did defeat the Packers and the Panthers at home, which could be seen as a daunting task, and they got the job done in both games. Now, you look at the Dallas Cowboys. Their defense has been solid. They've allowed only about 17 points per game. They come off this great win against Jacksonville, against this supposed vaunted defense of Jacksonville, and score 40 points against them. But I'm looking at the energy that was expended in that game, coupled with the fact, can they really replicate what they did and do it 2 weeks in a row, now have to go on the road, play a division rival that is getting tired of losing to them? I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Washington Redskins right now are actually improved this season. I think they could get this job done. They're going to be at home, and they had that loss to Indy early this season at home. I'm looking at that as an aberration. I do like the Redskins to get this done at home. I'm going to take them to win at home. Now, next game. Well, I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs to win at home over the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, Kansas City, this should be a very good offensive matchup. Kansas City, 8-2 at home since 2017. They're averaging nearly 36 points per game. Patrick Mahomes and company actually look very good. last week against the New England Patriots. It was just their defense couldn't hold up, and that's why this game will probably be very competitive. Cincinnati 5-6 on the road since 2017. When you have Andy Dalton and AJ Green, of course, it's a deadly lethal combination. They could be, they're obviously a force to be reckoned with. They will cause some problems for Kansas City's defense, I believe. But I think ultimately it could come down to that Cincinnati could succumb to prime time in this one. Given the fact they're on the road, it's going to be a prime time game. Cincinnati just seems to be notorious for not playing well in these kind of games. And you look at Kansas City Chiefs, it's just hard for me to see them even losing 2 in a row this season, let alone the second game being at home. It's a game that they should win. I do believe they will get this done. Could be a shootout, but I like Kansas City to win this one at home. Well, last but not least, I'm going to take the Atlanta Falcons to win at home over the New York Giants. Atlanta right now, they have not looked exactly sensational, but it's really what it comes down to in this one. Which team is going to actually play worse than the other? The Giants are going to play worse than Atlanta, I believe. I don't think we have to be much of a prophet or medium to know that or to believe that at this point in time. I'm not sure of the exact numbers, but I'm sure that Atlanta has a lot more completions of 20-plus yards than the New York Giants do as a team. Atlanta just has the ability to air it out a little bit better than the Giants, and they also have a much better offense. Atlanta is averaging nearly 28 points per game, while the Giants are averaging 19.5 points per game. This is a team now, the Giants are kind of in disarray. The Giants owner had called out O.J. Beckham Jr. recently and said something about that OBJ basically needs to talk less and play more. You have all this, there's controversy over should Eli Manning be starting? What's going to happen with the future of the Giants? I think they're just overwhelmed with a lot of distractions right now, and the fact that their offense has not been playing well. The Giants too only have 7 defensive sacks on the season. They're going to have a hard time getting to Matt Ryan. It's going to be a very tough, daunting task for the Giants to prevail on the road in this particular game. The Giants also, the Falcons are averaging more passing yards per game. They're averaging like 50 more per game than the Giants. Atlanta's averaging at or about 311 passing yards per game. The Giants are at or about 261 per game. So I think, and given that Atlanta is at home, you got Julio Jones, Matt Ryan. Atlanta also has other receivers on that team that could wreak havoc on the Giants secondary. I'm going to take Atlanta. Should win this one decisively at home. I'm going to take them at home. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube NFL prediction segment for my 2018 Week 7 NFL picks and analysis. And until next time, people, Edwin Leonard saying, stay well.